Mimosas with Michael. Mimosas with Michael. Mimosas with Michael. Yay!
Hey everybody, it's Michael Colomb with Mimosas with Michael, and I have a really cool lady on today by the name, she just goes by Jillian, kind of like Madonna. This is Jillian. How are you, Jillian?
I'm good, Michael. How are you doing?
Wait, does that mean you're the new Madonna?
I mean, I could only be so honored.
I know.
Madonna, except I don't sing and dance.
That's okay. That's okay. You can just be Jillian. I love it. You know, we'll just have your name in lights, like Roxy from the musical. Why can't I think of that? Chicago.
Well, I mean, I do also, I use my middle name as my last name, Rose, and it really works for branding purposes because I use roses and everything in logos, and it's great. It's perfect.
So that sounds so pretty because then you can make little like greeting cards and business. It's always got the little logo on it. That's kind of cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I wish I was clever to think of something like that. My middle name is Joseph. What I'm going to do? Have pictures of Jesus because he was, Jesus' father.
Yeah, you could just have a cross and a mini stick figure on it. Can I say something like that? That's not appropriate.
No. Well, so, I mean, what would you associate with Joseph? Like you have Rose. Like
no, the color coat, the colored coat.
Oh, the Technicolor Dreamcoat.
Yeah, the Technicolor Dreamcoat. Yeah.
It's still a religious reference in a sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, is religion still a thing?
I think only if you're a Republican. Wait, can we say that?
Oh my God. It's like you literally can't say anything anymore after this pandemic and with this. No. I mean, we'll definitely can't even get into the election talk as that's just like open arms.
Yeah.
Unless your listeners are cool.
No, I have really cool listeners. It's just this is more of like an artistic sort of inspirational motivational thing. I don't know if that's really.
Yeah, no politics.
Well, can't talk about politics or religion.
Yeah.
Well, I guess the show's over then. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
It was a pleasure seeing you.
No. Mm-mm.
So you're a writer.
I am.
I know. I read your blogs. They're great.
Oh, thank you.
And I did read your COVID one. It's very funny. You have a lot of good valid points.
Yeah.
Because I have a lot of friends that are working out during this pandemic, and I'm like, why? I can't. I have no energy.
I just, when I hear about random people that have lost weight during COVID, I'm just like, get out of my life. I'm just,
well, look, I'm proud of them. When the pandemic,
I am too. I'm jealous.
Yeah, that's really what it is. God, we're such player haters. Us.
I know.
Oh yeah, wait, we should clink. Let's clink. Wait, let me make it double frame real quick. Okay, and clink.
Cheers.
Cheers. Mimosas with Michael.
Ooh, mimosas with Michael.
Anyways, I have a lot of friends, and I'm very proud of them. When the pandemic first started, I was working out a little bit because it was cooler, But then it's like it got hot.
Were you doing like the home video workouts like on YouTube or Instagram TV?
I mean, I kind of did my own thing. I was just I would keep track of every day I would do like 100 push-ups, 100 sit-ups, and 100 sit-ups, push-ups, something else. That was squats.
Squats. Oh, okay.
Because I figured with that at least I was being active.
Mm-hmm.
And then I would walk every day around my neighborhood. But then it got so hot; it was too hot to walk.
Right.
And I was also studying photography, so I was like, well, it was give me something to do. But then I don't know, quarantine fatigue and everything. You just kind of like fall, no work.
Oh.
Just everything it kind of weighs on you, and you're like, you know what? I'm going to acquiesce to this. just deal with it. So.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I totally agree. I went nuts without being able to do any exercise for.
Yeah, because you're a runner.
I am a runner. Actually, Los Angeles got me into running because, you just can't beat the weather.
Yeah.
And in January 4th, I got a stress fracture. Well, that's hard to say. Stress fracture in my toe. And you know what? I should have known right from there, the fourth day of the year, that something messed up happened. That
Oh yeah, without a doubt. Yeah.
shit. Like I should have just. And you know, I kind of realized. I think I had a feeling. I'm very psychic.
It's the rose part of you.
Right. So I had to be in a boot for about 6 weeks, and I said to the doctor, well, what am I supposed to do? Because runners can't just like sit around. We go batshit crazy, and I'll just get really fat. And this is Los Angeles. You can't just get really fat. It doesn't happen.
No.
And he said, well, you can do upper body strength. And I said, well, I might go to Gold's Gym, but I'm not like a big beef eater here, you know?
Yeah, you're not trying to.
You're right. So I said, well, can I swim? Because I actually swam 1 year in high school. I drowned the whole season, but you know,
But you made it. Yeah.
I made it. So, and I wrote about this too on my, on a blog post. So I got into swimming.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah. So I do run still occasionally, but my body cannot handle the runs I used to do by any means. Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
No,
But that's
it's
okay.
okay.
But that's okay because you're also a writer.
Yeah.
You don't need your feet to write.
No, I don't need my feet to write.
So
I just need these.
Just your little fingers. So you tell us about your book.
Cool. So I published a novel called Don't Kiss and Sell.
That's
and
right.
it's based on about a 25-year-old woman who is in a high pressure sales job. And she, in order to climb the corporate ladder, she starts doing really well at her job, and it becomes addicting. But in order to keep up with the long days, she starts dabbling into Adderall, starts to abuse it. And then she ends up doing that thing that you never, ever should do. She dates one of the vice presidents in the company.
Which is high goals, though. That's good.
Yeah. But then of course, he breaks her heart, and then it starts to derail her career. And at the same time, there's another male character named Alex. And when she first meets him in the beginning of the book, she can't stand him. And he's just a total dick. And then of course, throughout the novel, he kind of becomes a friend to her. And he's the one that really helps her get off the pills.
Oh,
and
nice.
So there's it's also peppered with like eating disorder references and friendship struggles and goals. And, at the end of the novel, it's just kind of like, all right, what's going to happen to the rest of her life kind of thing.
Yeah. So it's great because it's a story for strong women, but it really deals with issues women aren't really dealt with a lot, I feel like, especially in a sort of mainstream way.
Well, definitely because, and do not laugh, but Jaden sells life insurance. Okay. That sounds boring as hell.
Yeah.
It is literally Wolf of Wall Street from a female's perspective.
That's awesome.
Selling life insurance. This is like how I came to write the story, because it's what I did that for 2 years. The craziest experience of my life. It was literally Wolf of Wall Street, just minus the hookers and blow at 8 a.m. Although I'm sure they would have brought that in.
True. But she had Adderall in her VP boyfriend, so.
Oh, yeah.
It's a give and take.
Yeah. And he was popping it too. So, yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, when you have a high pressure job, it's like people don't realize that you have to keep going. There's got to be a way to do it. It's usually.
I swear to God, I don't know how these guys did it. We would be working from 8 a.m. to 10 o'clock at night, Monday to Friday, then working 8 a.m. to like 3 p.m. on Saturdays. And then Sundays, sometimes they wanted us in the office making phone calls.
That's crazy.
It was literally the most, and just the culture was just wild. It's not the normal corporate America. For example, they would announce, paycheck. Yeah.
Your audio went out.
It did?
Oh, there you are.
Okay.
Yeah, it was weird. It popped out for a second. Sorry.
Oh, okay. Are we good?
Yeah, I just didn't want you to say all those wonderful gems that we were going to miss them.
Oh, yeah. They, when the company had weekly meetings, they were kind of, it was like a Zoom type program, about 250 agents. They would announce the top salespeople's paychecks for the week. Like
Oh.
what? Yeah, the amount of money that you made was very public. It was not. I mean, people. People don't discuss what they make. It's, you can't go up to someone and say, "Hey, what's your salary?" Like that's just,
It's so taboo. I know.
it's really not kosher. But in this culture, I'm just giving an example of one of the things that went on that was just, like mind blowing. You always, like, everyone knew everyone else's business, and it was just.
Did they do it as a way to motivate each other? Do you think?
Exactly
like, Jane is making 50 to 80,000. Oh,
it's exactly why they did it. And it does work, because it mind fucks with you, especially if there's someone in the office you don't like, and they're, that they made $1,000 more than you last week or something. You're like,
yeah,
fuck them. I'm going to go and hustle this week, and I'm going to, sell X amount of policies, and,
yeah.
just that.
I mean, there's a motivating thing about that. I can see, but I can also see how it adds extra pressure.
Oh,
to you as well, yeah.
Oh,
especially if you underperform that week.
Oh, are you kidding me? And they always were doing contests. There was always a sales contest, and it was always, and I was just such a sucker for this. Like, win a pair of shoes, get into this competition, you get a t-shirt, ladies versus the guys, blah, blah, blah. I ate it all up. And now I look back on it, I'm like, I don't want to fucking sell something for a pair of shoes. And like, no.
Yeah, and I feel like it motivates people to sell things that they don't need, that somebody doesn't need, just because they need to get that goal.
Oh, are you kidding me? I was selling shit people couldn't afford. I just was like, oh yeah, this sounds good here, and then they'd be canceling left and right.
Such a crazy culture we're in some ways here,
Oh, definitely.
Well, I'm glad. I'm in some ways, I'm glad it gave you the motivation to write this book, because so many people want to write and they never do, right? Exactly. And then you self-published it?
I did. So I am working on a second novel, and that one I'm going to query agents for. But for this novel, I started it in Pennsylvania. I banged out a rough draft in 9 months, and then I moved to LA, and the book kind of took a backseat as I was, like job searching, making friends. And then finally, it was actually my mom that really pushed me. She's like, you got to finish that damn book and get it out into the world. And I knew that if I took time to query agents and went the traditional publishing route, if it even happened, that book still probably wouldn't even be published. And it was put on Amazon 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So
well, that's actually something I think good to hear, because probably a lot of people who are doing the same thing, where I wrote something, how do I get it out there? I have the same thing. A good friend of mine directed a feature, and he's like, I can try and sell it, but I might just put it out there. And sometimes I think even for your first one, like, it may not be like the biggest bestseller, but like the next time you write your novel and you query people, you're like, oh, I already have a book. It's out there. It's selling. It's available. Right?
Yeah, well, it depends. It depends on what your sales numbers are. Like if they're below a certain threshold, from what I've Googled, and obviously Google knows everything.
Of course.
You don't want to tell an agent that you already have a book. But also part of me is like, I would love to get that book picked up by a publisher, and I don't know how. Yeah. I don't know how that all works particularly, but that's okay.
But look, it's out there, and now you have a tangible piece of something that you can use to shop around.
Exactly.
Which you didn't have before. So really, you just do it.
Yeah.
I think that's the moral of the story. Is just do it. Just do it.
Just do it.
Do the damn thing.
And my second novel actually takes place in Los Angeles. It's a cross between Entourage and Sex and the City. It's based
nice.
It's based around 4 women. So it's a Sex and the City type friendship dynamic, but Entourage talk, so to say. Like,
yeah, I like Entourage.
Oh my God, I'm obsessed with Entourage.
I actually did background work on Entourage once.
You did?
Yes. And every time people see this episode, they're like, "Were you in Entourage?" And I'm like, "Oh yeah, that was me."
Oh my God, I am so.
So you've probably seen me, but before you ever met me.
Apparently. I was watching Entourage. So after college, I lived in Tel Aviv for a year and a half.
Oh, nice.
And that's when I got into Entourage. My roommate and I, we'd be smoking weed, and we look at each other and we go, what are the boys doing? The boys meaning Entourage. Yeah. So whenever they would smoke in the show, then we would smoke. So we were hanging out with them.
I love it. They're all very nice. I do remember. Okay, so I'll tell you this because I mean it's not a big deal. It was background work, but but because I worked in film, and it was right around the time that work was slow here, like a few years ago when we had the writer's strike and the recession. So they were only shooting stuff that was already written. And I knew the background wrangler, so she always made sure I was like pushed towards the front. And there was an episode, and I don't remember which seat. I apologize now, but when one of the characters was on Five Towns, and he was dating, he was using Turtle's girlfriend. Well, I can't remember her name.
Oh, I know here. Yeah, I'm.
Yeah. So there's an episode where it's raining, and he has to kiss Turtle's girlfriend, and then he gets poured. I can't remember Kevin Dillon's character. No, it's not Kevin Dillon. Why can't I think of these characters' names?
I know it's because it's been so, yeah.
But it's raining, and it's right before he gets fired. But right when they yell cut and the rain stops, and like the director walks on the episode, I'm like the director of photography, so I have to walk up with him, and he turns and he talks to me, and I walk off. So I have like an actual close up. It was weird. I had to hit a mark and everything. I mean, I have acted before, but I just don't really. I'm trying to be a writer, never was trying to be an actor. But it's just one of those things. People go, wait a minute, did I just see you on Entourage? And I'm like, yeah, that's on Entourage.
People always asked when I said I was moving to LA, they're like, oh, do you want to be an actress? I was like, hell no. I'd get kicked off a casting call in a second. As soon as a producer would tell me I'm too fat, I'd like want to hang myself. So no, thank you. You don't have to look a certain way to write. I mean, maybe you did, but
exactly. But I mean, it was a fun experience, and like I work in film, so I'm always on set. But it's just one of those moments where I was like, oh, that was kind of a fun experience.
Yeah.
And then I remember I had a roommate one time. He's like, we should binge watch Entourage. And I was like, okay. And I didn't tell him I was on it. And he goes, what the fuck, was that you? And I was like, yeah, that was it was so funny.
That's so wild.
Yes.
Yeah. So the book so that's basically the premise of the book. And then there's what I also did is I created a storyline of a single dad, and it goes back and forth between the perspective of a single dad and the female characters. And then one of the female characters ends up meeting the single dad. And then
this is the new book you're doing.
That's the new book. Yeah. Okay. It's called LA fans. I hope LA listeners would like this. The working title is called West of the 405 because it basically takes place on the West Side. So I was like, I don't know if people would like that title or not. So if I can get some feedback, that'd be great.
I mean, I get it. I mean, it's really interesting. Like when you do something that's very city specific, right? Yeah. So if you use like a New York term, the rest of the world probably wouldn't get it. Right. Like I understand West of the 405 because I've lived here my whole life.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
But I would imagine within the first, so this is a TV show, in the pilot episode, you would kind of explain it, I would imagine. Mm-hmm. So in the book, you just have to explain like why, it takes place in Santa Monica or whatever, the West of the 405 kind of thing. I think once you do that, people would get it, but it's not like, I don't know. I think the title's fine.
Okay.
I give it a thumbs up.
Okay, cool. Then I'm happy with that because coming up with the title is grueling.
And you might write the book and find that there's something else in there that you want to, call it.
That's what I want to call it. Yeah.
But I do like the title. It's kind of catchy. West of the 405.
Yeah. I mean, I've been having a lot of issues. For example, my first novel, Don't Kiss and Sell. Amazon won't let me advertise on their platform because the title is not appropriate for all audiences. Meanwhile, there are authors that are advertising on Amazon and they have covers, very, very, very suggestive covers. Yeah, right. And my cover is literally, it's just, if you look at it, it's just the silhouette of a female's face. That's it. It's completely kosher. Like it's very appropriate.
I wonder what it is, if there's an actual word. Maybe it's the word kiss or something.
I think it's the word kiss. And I'm like, well, I can't change the damn title just because of Amazon.
Yeah, but that's strange because, I mean, kissing isn't really.
No.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. There's a lot of movie titles that are much, I don't know. It's strange. Sometimes with algorithms, you just never know.
Oh, it's awful. It's such a pain. So yeah, but I've done, I've run Facebook ads and that's more, Facebook was okay. That wasn't.
Well, yeah, Facebook has its own, but that's interesting with Amazon though.
Yeah. I was not a happy camper.
It's like, you can put that as some movie titles or it could be a little. Amazon, figure this out. Come on.
Yeah, come on, Jeff Bezos. Support the little girl here.
He has too much money to care. You're kidding? The pandemic hit, and he's like, "Thank you." He's like raking it in.
He's like, cash out.
He's like, 200,000 people are dead. Well, I'm making billions, so.
Yeah. He's
goodness gracious.
He likes the pandemic. He's probably just chilling on a yacht somewhere.
Yeah. Out in the middle of the ocean where there's no pandemic.
Yeah. Right. Exactly.
Right? Anyways, let's go. So now you were in LA, so now you're back home.
I am back home, not permanently. I'm just taking it. I came home literally right around the time of the pandemic, so it's a little kind of coincidental in a way, but all my friends back in LA tell me, you're really lucky that you're not here, because I'm in Pennsylvania. I live outside Scranton, if anyone remembers the show The Office.
Was that a show? Is that a big deal?
Yeah, The Office. Yeah, it's a real city. But I'm staying with my parents, and they live for the summer, which is now over, of course. It was good. It's been good because they live on a golf course, and there's pools scattered throughout the properties and stuff. So it's not a bad gig in the summer, but then once it gets cold here, I'm just miserable.
Well, too bad you're not here. And I mean, here in LA, it's still in the 90s. It's so hot. We're also on I was recording this ahead of time, but we're basically on fire right now. Everything. There's a big fire around me right now. The sky looks like it's overcast, and it's not.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's crazy right now.
Yeah, I read about the heat. I read about the heat wave, and my friend was telling me. And if it gets to be like in the 90s in Santa Monica, I can't even imagine what the rest of the city is like.
Yeah, I'm in the valley, and it was 107 to 110 in some places.
It's like Las Vegas.
Yeah, I know. And there was one day, God, I lived here my whole life. We were having humidity. We never have humidity here.
Oh, that's weird.
Yeah, and I was like, what the heck is going on? Oh, 2020.
Yeah, 2020. Yeah. You know what the thing though is, everyone keeps talking about, when 2021 comes, it'll thank God. Well, I don't think COVID's going to know that it needs to go away because it's 2021.
Yeah.
I think shit will still suck.
Yeah, but it's not. It's probably going to still take a time to even recover from.
Oh yeah.
The remnants of 2020.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's heartbreaking.
I know. So I definitely coming back to LA, but there's kind of no point in coming back, presently, because what can I do?
Yeah, I mean, work in my industry is finally picking up because people need entertainment. I mean, we've been at home for months, so we watched everything. So people are ready for new
people need new
content.
Yeah.
And since we're a film town, that's great. And I think if I remember correctly, our governor made it that we were essential workers, so we could actually work. And and now they've found ways to do it safely, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. But it's still, it takes a second to kind of roll out.
Right.
Because people are like, oh, we can go now? Okay, so we got to start getting permits. It's just spinning, so it's got to get out there. So September hit, and I feel like, okay, work's starting to pick up, and by October, I'm always working in October. And then it'll probably slow down again to the holidays.
Right.
And people are like, okay, we shot some stuff, and then hopefully in 2020, right out of the gate, they're all going to start up again.
Yeah, 2021, January. We're ready. We're ready for you.
Yeah, so we can only hope.
Yeah.
So, well, it's great that I mean, congratulations on writing a book. I always wanted to be a novelist, and then somehow I became a screenwriter, which is fun. But I have sat down many times and tried to write novels, and that's one of my goals someday in the future. But now I write movies. So.
I could never write a movie. I mean, I've read through screenplays, and I'm just like, I think I fiddled with one page once just to see if I could get the hang of it, and I'm like, nah, I got it.
Yeah, it's a different beast. It's so, I think the hardest part for me when it became to screenwriting was, as a novelist, you have to use your words to sort of describe everything for the audience.
Yeah. Right.
Like how it feels, how it smells, and you taste things in the air. But with screenplays, you don't, because we visually make it.
Right.
I was like, wait, what? I spent years learning how to figure this out and create moods. So I have been told that my scripts sometimes are very, I write moods a lot. So I still try to make everything sort of descriptive.
That's interesting.
I think it's just because I don't know how not to. But I also want the script, I think, in a way to be sort of like a work of art. So, even though it's going to be visually different, I want people to read it and go, wow, that's actually a really good read too.
Yeah.
Perhaps, I guess.
I'm actually, so I'm working on the second novel, but I'm also working on taking a screenplay that my friend wrote and turning it into a novel. We're going backwards.
Yeah, your novel. No, they do that sometimes. They novelize movies all the time.
Yeah, the screenplay is hilarious. It takes place in LA, and it's about a girl who has a really high level advertising job, and she ends up getting a felony. She sells drugs to underage kids and gets caught, and she doesn't realize they're underage. So she gets fired from her job and then has to take a position at a competing firm at the total bottom level. So she went from a VP position to like,
mail clerk. Yeah.
Yeah. Like the ditches. So it's the book or the screenplay talks about her rebuilding her career. So
that's actually kind of fascinating.
Yeah, I'm pretty pumped about it. And the protagonist her name's Riley, and she is hilarious.
Nice.
She's so fun. She's such a fun character to be creative with, so to say.
And it'll be fun because you've already written a novel, so you know how to do it, but you're not like creating a character. It's already, the material's there. Yeah.
So I really hope I can, I'm on page 20 of it.
Hey, that's good though.
I'm really hoping I can bang it out by the end of the year. That's my goal and I hope I can, because I already have an outline. Yeah. I have the screenplay, and now I'm not just doing this on my own. There's someone that I'm working with, you know what I mean? So I have to be held accountable, and we want to just get this thing rolling.
Well, that's actually true, because I used to write a lot, and then I got introduced to my friend Brantley. Brantley's my writing partner, and we had a mutual friend, and he was moving to LA. And my friend's like, oh, you should meet Michael. Michael makes horror movies. You like horror. And Brantley messaged me not to write. He just didn't know anybody in Los Angeles. And we just both happened to be gay guys who like horror. So it was like we already had like a sort of, I know. And we sort of had like this mutual thing right there that was like, we have common ground. Yeah. And he was moving out here with his husband. It's like, that's cool that, I'll have like people that I'm very similar with to hang out with. And then I read one of Brantley's scripts, and I was like, guys, he writes really good. And what I liked about Brantley is, yes, he writes very well. So I'm a writer, not an editor. and what was interesting is I noticed we're very similar style. Mm-hmm. But so like I said, I wanted to be a novelist. So I used to spend a lot of time trying to write novels. So he, as a writer, was further along, and he's younger than me. So he was further along at his age than I was at his age in screenplays, because I didn't start that right away. So I was in the process of somebody had asked me to adapt a short film I wrote into a script, and I was like, I don't have any ideas. I go, hey, Brantley, do you want to help me with this? Maybe we can come up with some ideas. And he's like, yeah. And we wrote it, and it was like, we banged that thing out like it was nothing. And it was, I'm like, wow, we actually know how to do that. Because, writing with other people is very different. Yeah. And he lives outside of LA. So it's not like I can just go to his house and write. So we had to do it sort of remotely. And I at this time, I had already written a script with two other people. One of them is Victor Miller. He wrote the original Friday the 13th. Oh, wow. And the three of us wrote the script, and I knew the two guys, but they never met. We did this completely online. So because that I've never done, like actually co-write with someone. Is it that someone is writing a certain character and someone's writing another character, or and people ask us all the time, and I really think it depends. When I wrote with the other two, with Victor and my friend Martin, we wrote a horror movie. We had an idea of what we wanted, and then we kind of had like a vague outline, and then each of us wrote 1/3 of the script. Right? So because there's usually 3 acts. And so I think Martin wrote, we did this years ago. Martin wrote the first act. I think I wrote the middle 30 pages, and then Victor wrote the third. But because Victor was the older person, he was also, he'd won a few Emmys. He wrote the largest horror franchise ever. So we're like, look, then he went through and polished it. Yeah. Right? And that worked. So it made it like cohesive. But before, like, one person would write the 30 pages and we talk about it. And then I would write my 30 pages and we talk about it. Okay. And so that's how that worked. But with Brantley and Brantley, like I said, we're so similar. I mean, we really are. Like, I can go back and read a script we both wrote, and I'd be like, wait, did I write that section? Because we're very, very similar.
Oh, that's very cool.
So how Brantley and I do it is we talk about the story and where we want it to go. And then he'll be like, hey, I have some ideas how I want to start the story. If you don't mind, I'll start it. And then like, he'll send me maybe like 10 pages and I'll look at it and maybe I'll adjust some things and tweak it and clean it up. And then I kind of push the story forward a little bit more.
Right.
Maybe another 10 pages. And then he'll read it and he'll be like, hey, do you have any more thoughts or can I take it? So we kind of, with Brantley and I, it's a give and take. It's completely different. And I've never had a writing partner like that, ever. Wow. Like he's like, it's like an anomaly with he and I.
Yeah, that's a really cool dynamic.
Yeah. I mean, I'm very blessed in that sense, but I say all that to say we definitely hold each other accountable.
That's good.
And, you know, because there'll be times, because we both got hired to write, we've written 2 scripts. We're on our second one right now. Mm-hmm. And like with the second script we wrote, he took the lead on the first draft. And so then I took the lead on the second draft. Like we got notes. And so I took the lead. But usually I film a lot. So like I work, you know, 12, 13 hours a day, 5, 6 days a week, in which case he will take over the writing in that sense. And then I clean it up. But this one, I mean, since we're on a pandemic, I was like, well, I mean, I guess I'm not doing anything, so I'll look at it. So we just have a style that works for us.
Yeah.
And people always tell me, like, how do I find a writing partner? I go, I mean, that's such a loaded question because everybody has, I mean, that's the thing is like, this town is so busy. Everybody has their own style. And I don't think there's a specific way, but you really want to find somebody who understands your goal. Right. And your vision, and he can help you. You guys want to lift each other up. So I think with you and this girl, like it's her story. So she's definitely gonna.
It's a guy, but it's okay.
Oh, I thought you said
no,
she.
Okay. No, she's the protagonist. I don't know how he did this, but so the guy that wrote the screenplay, male, he wrote a screenplay about a female. And I'm just like,
I mostly write female characters too.
He's like a 28-year-old dude and he did it and it was very, I mean, there's some things that I'm changing, but it was very spot on. And
you know, I had a play produced in 2011. It was all Latino characters. And I'm not even Latino. I wrote an entire movie with just Latino characters, and I'm not even Latino. It just had a story that needed to be written. But I mean, because of that, I did tons of research, right? Yeah. And then I if there was a scenario where I was like, I know I would handle it this way probably because culturally, this is how we are. And I would reach out to my Latino friends and be like, how would you handle this or your culture? And they would be like, oh, yeah, because we're based on our religion or based on gender or based on culture. Right. So I would do that. But I mean, Brantley and I both always write really strong women. I'm driven to more women characters. But I've had my mother was a strong presence in my life. So was my grandmother. So I think I'm just driven as well. But I never write. I just write a character. They just happen to be Black, white, Latino, gay, straight, older, younger. I just want to write good characters. So I never use that as a hindrance. Yeah. But it is interesting that you think that you're like, yeah, this guy wrote a good woman. I know it's very rare, but you as a straight woman could probably write a story about a young gay kid and you're not gay.
I don't know. Like, I don't know. I don't know if I could. Like, I mean, I'd have to do a lot of digging and really,
yeah, of course,
like interview. I couldn't just do it off the top of my head.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't think it's not like, I don't know. You know what I mean? I have never walked the shoes of a 25-year-old gay man. So
exactly,
it's only, I can't do it from an inside perspective, only from.
Well, but I think what's great about writers is that we have a capacity to empathize and sort of put ourselves in those shoes. And then you understand what it's like to be hurt and get broken up with and try to date and da-da-da. And I think in a way you sort of relate your experiences and then how your character would put themselves in that situation.
Okay.
That's what I do when I write women. Like, I know what it's like, maybe because I'm a gay guy and I think in a lot of ways I think like a woman. Yeah. Which is probably, but I understand, but I see it all the time. This is very interesting. So the job that I do in film, I do direct and write, but sometimes I'll do my other job, and it's a very female. It's what's considered more of like a female job, because I'm a script supervisor, and it started off with women. It's very secretarial, and so we're treated like it's a job that women do, and I I see it from a white male perspective of how different the position's treated because people think women do it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Even though a lot more men are doing it now. But the difference is because a lot of people in this industry, what is it?
Like being a nurse, essentially.
Yeah. And it's like, but the weird thing is because I'm a white male, like they try to treat it like, and I actually speak up and be like, no, you have to understand that just because women do this position, it's so important and this is why you need it. And so I just try to use my voice to explain that to people.
It's amazing.
But it's so frustrating to me that people have this mental block about it, that they're just like, oh, it's like, it's like absolutely asinine and absurd. So I think in a lot of ways, I have been blessed enough to be in these positions where I can look at it from that perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So, I mean, but like I said, that's just part of being older and the things I've experienced. But I can't imagine that when you write stories, everything's so universal, right?
Yeah.
The struggles of life. Like you said, like you related your story, Don't Kiss and Sell, all the struggles that she went through. You said it's just like Wolf of Wall Street.
Yes, in the sense of the feel of the story.
Exactly. And so which means you're just doing universal themes. So even though I'm not a woman, I could probably relate to the story in a lot of ways.
Oh, definitely.
Exactly.
Interesting. I've had a lot of male friends read the story, and I've had more feedback from males than I have from females.
It's a very interesting thing then in that sense of like how.
Yeah.
Exactly. So yeah. I'm just saying that's probably why that young man was able to write about a woman, because he can relate the universal themes, and then you just adapt it to how your character would be.
Yeah.
Right. So if you're writing a woman and like you have a specific scenario, you just have to go, how would my character, who happens to be a woman, handle this situation?
Right.
Right.
I go, when I create characters, I base them a lot off of people that I know, and then, pick.
Yeah, I think that's great.
And then, and then of course, whatever quality they have that I'm trying to emphasize, I'll really exaggerate it, because obviously that will, that's a more compelling story than just like, the typical bullshit that's not that exciting. So
that's so fascinating. Well, I think we've taught our audience so much today about writing and the experiences of you. Do you have anything, how can people find you?
They can find me on Instagram at Jillian Rose Writes. I also have a website, JillianRoseWrites.com.
Which will put in the show notes.
Thank you. And then you can also find Don't Kiss and Sell on Amazon, and please check it out.
You guys, please check it out. Please support independent artists. We need you more than ever now in this time. And this is a great book. Go check it out. Again, Jillian, thank you so much for being on the show.
Thanks so much for having me, Michael.
You're so sweet. Yeah, we've talked a few times. We formed a friendship, so I'm excited about that.
Yes.
And good luck on your second book.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome. All right, everybody. This is Michael Cologne with Mimosas with Michael. Thank you, Jillian. You can find us on iTunes, iHeartRadio, Spotify. We're on Instagram TV now, YouTube. Just Google Mimosas with Michael, and you will find us. Everybody have a great day. Thank you so much.